Alrighty guys, so the very first thing you want to make sure when you open the box is it said there's supposed to be an L-shaped tool, but none of these tools came with, so please make sure you guys do have tools because you're going to need it for these special little ones right here that take this little hex style. There we go. So you should have 4 here that have a little washer attached to them, 2 with no washer, 3 big washer, 2 of the same lock nuts, 1 lock nut, 2 of these style bolts here. You got a nice little guard in this piece. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to flip this upside down like so. And then this little guy has grooves. So if you flip it this way with the R up, it's going to set right like this inside. So then what you're going to want to do, just to make sure this doesn't slap around, the 2 without the little washers here, you're going to drop these in just like that. And then you're going to lightly screw them down. You don't want them too tight because you want to still be able to have some free play in them. So just lightly screw them in like so. And everything should be finger tight, so that way you can go ahead and still tighten it down once you get everything set. So once these are pretty much in there, so it's got a little play, as you can see it still wiggles a little bit, still moves. So now we're going to try to insert it into the bar. So hold on one second here. If you want to hold that. Alright, so you're going to take this nifty little guy like so, and he is going to go this way. Right? No.
There you go.
So it goes like this way. So then you want to make sure you get your lines lined up. The first one you want to do, because it's going to make it a lot easier, you're going to flip this guard up. So in this little pocket here, you can see there's a line. It's a pain in the butt. So that's the very first one you're going to want to try to screw in. So you're going to hold, drop your little nut in there, try to grab that thread. And same thing, you just want to finger screw it in. You don't want to try to tighten everything down. You want to have some play still. And it will take a second to get it to line because it is a pain in the butt. There we go. Alright, I'm just going to take this little tool guy here just to give it a little more, get it a little more in there so it's not super loose, but you want it to still play. So about right there, so you see you still got some play in there. You're going to flip it back around here, and now you got to line up this other little bolt here. So same thing, you're going to grab one of these that has one of the little washers on it. And the same thing, going to drop that in this hole. You're going to finger tighten it. So that way you still got some play, so that way you can move this around before stashing it onto the bike. So there you go, first start. So this is how you're going to start looking here. So let me go ahead and get the rest on and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so now that you got it pretty much all together, you should start looking like something like this. You're going to have 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. So that way when you flip it up, if you want to grab that other side piece there, when you flip it up, it should be looking something like this all together. So this is how it's going to look. So this here, with these 2 lines here, these are going to line up to right here. Alright, so those lines end up, those 2 holes are going to go right here. So those 2 holes, what you're going to end up having to do first is you're going to have to remove this securing nut that holds in this clamp here that holds in your clutch cable. So with that, it's going to be as simple. There's just a little lock nut on the back. So if we come back around here, let's see if I can get you in there. So back in there, kind of see it, there's going to be a nut. So that nut there, you're just going to loosen it, and then you're just going to pull this forward, and then you're going to leave your actual clip here that holds up your throttle cable, because you're going to want to keep that there. You don't want to remove this because that's going to help keep that throttle cable in place, so that way you don't get it clamped in anything else. So we're going to go ahead and I'll get this out of here and we'll be right back. Alrighty, so we just removed the bolt there and we took off the clip, which will be put back on once we get the engine guard on. Now the very next one you're going to want to remove is going to be this long one way down here. So you're going to have a wrench here and then one on the back because it is a lock nut. So once you start to get this loosened, that nut on the back over here is going to start spinning. So go ahead, and that's what we're about to do now, is we're going to remove this so that way we can start getting the engine guard. So I'll be back. Alrighty, so we just found this out. So your original stock bolt is a 14 millimeter. The newer one ends up actually being a 13 millimeter. So just a fair warning when you guys are putting on this engine guard that they do change out the sizing of that bottom main bolt from a 14 to a 13. So be prepared, it's nothing wrong, that is just standard stock sizing. Alright, so we are getting ready to mount this engine guard. So the very first thing you want to do is, first of all, the bike is up on its center stand, which makes it very easy to work on. Second thing is make sure you turn your forks just ever so slightly so you have this gap. And what you're actually going to do is you're going to slide this under between this gap here and then bring it up to these two bolt holes here. So I will have my father here hold the phone and I will show you how to do that. Alright, so you're going to, same thing, keep this loose, so you want to keep it moving. You're going to slide this down in between here, bring it up, and you're going to bring it all the way up to these center bolt holes here. Just like so. And that's how we're going to start mounting it. So, let me get tools here and we're going to start mounting. Alrighty, so now that we got it lined up here, I'm actually going to be taking off my clamp for my clutch cable here, because as you actually can see, the way it mounts, it will actually do the same thing as that little bar there without it being too far away from the frame, so it gets that nice tight closeness. So as you can see here, with it lined up, it is as tight to that frame as it's going to get. So it actually will help keep your clutch cable right nice and tight to the frame of your bike here. Even though there's this gap here, it actually fits nice and snug right there. So you can actually get away without having to keep that clip there to keep your clutch cable back up. Quarter right now. Alright, so what we're doing right now is, before we mount the bolts to the two holes for the frame, we're just going to go ahead and secure down these top nuts here with the little washer, so that way the top is very nice and secure, and then we'll tighten up the bottom ones down here below once we get it actually up into these two bolt holes here. So then that's what we're doing right now, is making sure this top part is really nice and secure all the way through. These four top nuts are all nicely secured down, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop it into these two holes here and get the whole top down, and then we'll finish up the bottom. Alright, so we just put these two bolts in. They're loose right now. Just a fair warning, if you guys got some big beefy hands, I'm going to let you know now, I have very petite hands, so I can reach in here just fine, but my dad had a little issue reaching in the back here. So fair warning, if you have some really big beefy hands, to reach back here to get these bad little nuts set back up in there, you might want to have some tools available that can reach in there very quickly for you, because it is a tight squeeze. As you can see, my hand is all the way in there, but some of you guys that might have a little bit more of a bigger hand than I do, fair warning, it may be a little difficult for you guys to reach in here, especially where the frame is on either side of the inside. So be careful, you might have some difficulties trying to get these back nuts on. So if so, just see if you got a small finger person around to give you a hand, or see if you got some tools in the back. So that's those so far. So we're going to start tightening things down, and then we'll get the stuff on through the bottom. Alright, so the next one we're going to be doing is your base bottom bolt here. So of course you're going to want to put on one of the newer washers that come in the kit. Do not put on your existing washer, and I'll show you why here. So this is the standard that comes with a kit. This is a stock. See the thickness difference? Do not put this little itty baby washer on your newer set. Plus it also will not fit, because they did change the size. Like I said previous, they went from a smaller to a bigger size. So this way, do not whatsoever put this little tiny washer back on this one, because seeing the difference, see here, this one's way longer. So if you put this one on here, you're gonna have way more slack and play in your engine guard at the bottom, which you do not want. You want it to be nice and snug. So do not put that little tiny one back in here. So take this little guy and just get rid of him, just hold on to him. So this one, what we're gonna do here, you got your washer on this one side. So down here at the very bottom here, you see this beautiful, lovely line. So what you're going to end up having to do is you're going to push your engine guard back just a tad, and you're going to line it up to those holes, just like so. And then you're going to take this bad boy here, and you're going to slide it all the way straight through. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, so this is how it should be looking here so far. So we just got this lined up, and we got the bolt all the way through with the washer. The very top two bolts back here are still loosened, so that way we still got some play here, as you can see. That way it's not fully tight down, because like I said, you're going to want to have some play and wiggle to get this actually on. If you get it all tightened down, especially the wings that come off on the side here, it's going to be very difficult for you to get this to line up, or to get this to give you some give before tightening down. So make sure you leave those two top ones up here a little bit on the loose side, so as you can see it still moves. So that way it makes it a lot easier for to line this bolt up here to get it through that hole. And then once you get it through, it should look like this on the other side here. So we're gonna walk over. So this is how it's looking on this side. So when it pops through, it's going to pop like this, and then of course you're going to stick another washer here, and then you're going to put your bolt on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw a washer on here real quick and put a bolt, and then we're going to tighten it all down, and then I'll show you guys the finished product of how it's looking so far. So like I said, just make sure you guys have a couple of your little L tools here. You want to make sure you have a 13mm and a 14mm socket. This little guy just helped get that lock ball off the bottom of the bolt, because it does move once you go to release it. Just so you guys are aware, tools do not come with this kit, nor do any instructions. So this video I hope will help you guys out. So let's get back to it, and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so on putting this nut on here, there's a lot of thread that was left out on this nut. If you guys feel it, you can cut it down a little bit so it's not sticking out. I just happen to put a secondary thick washer on there just to kind of eat up some of that threading, so that way it's not sticking out so much with just open thread based. So if you want, you can either add a secondary washer to the back here, or if you want to, just go ahead and slightly trim down the end of your bolt to make it so your threads don't pop out so wide, because it will, once this gets all tightened down, you will still have thread coming out of the top of this nut here, and it can be a little discouraging if you have something that high off, but I'm not too worried about it. So I just, like I said, I just added the secondary washer behind it, same thickness, just to eat some of that extra thread up. So like I said, we're gonna get down to tightening. So far we got it in, we got the nut on, and then we're just tightening everything down, and then she should be set to go. Alrighty guys, so this is the finished product. So as you can see, I got the Airfly guard coming out here. So this is going to be a little walk around. She's all done. So as you can see, it pops out just right below here. Just a little bit, gives a little bit of added protection along the legs here. So when your feet are mounted on the peg, you get a little bit of some shin protection along with a full engine guard. So we're going to walk around to this other side here. So as you can see, it does stick out pretty decent. So on either side here, you got some nice decent give. Don't mind my forks at the moment, it's a little sideways. But you can definitely see it comes out a lot wider than some of your traditional or the basic Airfly guards that Royal Enfield has. This is a little bit more on the higher aggressive side. It's got a little more added protection, like I said, because it does wrap around, giving you some more shin protection. But it does pop out pretty far, so it's going to give you a lot more better of a stand off the ground type stance once and if you ever do lay it down. So that way it gives you a nice full wrap here, and as you can see, it does protect a lot of your side. But like I said, once you put your feet on those pegs, you're going to have a little bit of shin protection just because of that nice little wrap around here. So here she all is, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know. Got any questions, concerns? Send me a message and we'll get talking.